It's time for live chat, the Psychetruth live chat, every Wednesday on your YouTube machine. Live chat, the Psychetruth live chat. I'll answer your questions. Whatever you want to talk about every Wednesday, right here on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. Hello and welcome to my weekly live chat. Somebody was complaining about the singing, but it's just the theme song and it's over now. But thanks for complaining about my singing anyways. That's a great way to show your thanks for somebody giving you a free Q&A. Anyhow, I'm constantly cracked up by YouTube trolls. Never-ending humor and entertainment. Anyhow, guys, this is a really exciting live chat because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So, you know, that's exciting because we all get to be off of work. We get to eat excessively more than we normally would. Anyhow, it's the start of a really exciting holiday season. I'm so glad that you've decided to join me here in my live chat. I'm gonna get my energy revved up here because we are about to dive into your questions. All righty. Boom, boom, boom. Making a little space here. Getting comfortable. Let's see here. Alrighty. Looks good. Hopefully sounds okay. Let me know, guys. I can always boost my volume or bring my volume down or whatever is needed. All right, so Charmander1234 says, are we supposed to put questions on here? Yes! It is a Q&A, which means that you ask your questions here in the comments and I will do my best to answer them or give you some recommendations of where you can maybe find an answer. If you put a bunch of question marks at the beginning of your comment or the beginning of your question, it'll just make it easier for me to see the questions amidst all the little comments and chitter chatter that you guys have. I love that you guys like to, you know, answer each other's questions and talk back and forth, but sometimes it can be hard to find the question. So question marks at the beginning of your question. I'm already seeing some stuff coming in here. So here we go. Big hugs and thank yous to Brian K. Counterman Jr., George Knott Smith, holding down the fort at the beginning of the chat. Alrighty. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Like easy questions like that. Alrighty. Emily Gald, I see you saying, please answer my questions, but I don't see your questions. So, you know, guys, there ends up being a lot of comments in here. So, you know, leaving your question a couple times can help. And don't leave me mean comments telling me to answer your questions. Just leave your question again in case maybe I didn't see it. David Salinas Morales, how can I get a butt like yours? Do more yoga. Yoga and hiking. That's pretty much what has made my butt. All right, here we go. An actual question from Invite the Light. And I love that screen name, actually. Invite the Light. Is juicing healthy? I just bought one today. Okay, so the cool thing about juicing, and especially now that you have a juicer, you'll actually be able to see this for yourself, all right, is that you're going to take a huge pile of vegetables, right? A huge amount of broccoli, spinach, you know, you can kind of throw whatever you want in your juicer, right? So things like beets, carrots, a great way to add a little bit of sweetness to your juice. But what really makes juicing healthy is juicing really nutrient-dense vegetables. So again, broccoli, kale, spinach, those are the guys that really contain a huge amount of nutrients. So what happens is you take this huge pile of vegetables, put it through your juicer, and then what comes out is this highly concentrated, extremely nutrient dense green juice, right? So you're essentially taking the nutrients of, you know, what might be like a half a pound of vegetables and just consolidating it all down into a glass of juice. So in the perspective of, you know, trying to get as many nutrients into your body as possible, juicing is a fantastic way to do that. And again, if you actually have a juicer and you can kind of see this for yourself, you really get, you know, that visual image for how many nutrients you're able to cram in to a little juice. So a couple things that I want to say about juicing that I think it's important to mention is that it's still really important to eat whole vegetables as well. So when you actually just eat the broccoli or the green beans or whatever, you're also getting a lot of fiber. And there probably are certain nutrients that get destroyed in the process of juicing, just because there tends to be a little bit of heat generated by that, you know, juicing motor or whatever. And just that processing, right, of changing something from a solid into a liquid, you're potentially going to lose some of your nutrients. So you still want to eat broccoli, eat salads, eat those healthy foods as well, because they give you all that healthy fiber and a lot of other nutrients. But drinking a green juice once a week or once a day, and I encourage you to just kind of work your way up, right? Maybe you start with once a week and then you move up to twice a week. And then sometimes you can juice 3 times a week. You could also like make a big gallon of green juice and then put that in your refrigerator to drink over the next 2 or 3 days. But adding some green juices to your diet is a fantastic idea. And you know, it's just such a nutrient dense beverage. You do want to keep in mind that in order to keep your juices really healthy, you want to keep the sugar relatively low. So I typically will add maybe half of an apple, or, you know, there's a lot of things that you can use to add a little bit of sweetness. You could use, you know, any of your sweet fruits, right? Watermelon, mango, apples. These are great ways to add a little bit of sweetness so that your juice tastes really good. But just remember that when you are juicing fruits, you're losing all that fiber. And so now you're just kind of concentrating sugar, and there's still a lot of nutrients as well, but just kind of, you know, recognize that if you're putting in like 3 apples to your juice, that's probably more sugar than you need, right? Now you're kind of starting to have a less healthy drink. So less sugar, the better. Just add as much sugar or fruit as you need to make the juice taste really nice. But yes, juicing is super healthy. I'm going to save, you know, so the next kind of question from here would be, what about juice fasts? So I'm going to wait and see if somebody asks about fasting or detox. Typically, that's something that people are thinking about around this time of year, right? Especially within like 2 weeks, we're all going to be making New Year's resolutions. So, or I guess it's about 3 or 4 weeks at this point, right? So it's a funny time of year. So if there's a question on that, I will get to it. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and move on to some other questions. Mamta Sharma, not sure if I'm saying that right. Mamta says, my diet is failing and so is exercise. So this isn't really a specific question, but I will just speak for a second. You know, I've done several videos talking about why diets fail, right? So there's a couple different ways that a diet can fail. One way is that you just can't stick to whatever the diet is, right? You've made this intention to cut your calories or to cut sugar or whatever, and your diet fails because you can't do those things. Or maybe you're dieting, you're doing everything you're supposed to do, and then you don't lose weight. And you're like, what the heck? I've been killing myself for a month and I'm not losing weight. What's going on? So there's a lot of reasons that diets can fail. All right. And, I think that one of the most common things is that people are trying to calorie restrict. And if you're starving yourself, you're actually putting your body into a stressful mode. And when the body is interpreting that there's maybe a lack of food, this triggers your stress response. And when you trigger your stress response, that stress or cortisol and other stress hormones will actually impede your body's ability to burn fat. Okay, so stress inhibits weight loss. That is the biggest reason that I see people failing at their diets or failing to lose weight. Another thing is that people will restrict fat in the diet. This is a big common one. Probably in the last couple years, people are realizing that low-fat and non-fat diets, they're not sustainable, they're not healthy, and they actually don't help you lose weight because fat is not what makes you fat. Now, it's important to maybe note the difference between healthy fats like nuts, seeds, avocados, really good healthy fats that feed your body nutrients and help to fill you up. All right, as opposed to things like fried foods, trans fats, processed foods, okay? Those are those bad fats. Those are going to cause weight gain. You don't want those. But just understand that foods that are supposed to contain fat, like milk, like peanut butter, all of these foods that in their natural state they would contain fat, you don't want to eat a fat-free version of those foods. Partly because they typically add a huge amount of sugar to make fat-free foods taste palatable, but also because the processing of removing that fat actually impedes your body's ability from digesting the milk or digesting the protein in the eggs, for instance, right? So if you were to just eat the egg white and not eat the egg yolk, it's actually the nutrients in the yolk that help your body digest the protein of the egg white. So this all kind of just comes back to my philosophy, which is eating whole foods in their natural state. And when I say whole foods, that just means you eat the whole egg, or you eat whole fat milk, or you eat whole fat peanut butter. And stay away from all those weird processed fat-free versions of foods that should contain fat. Those are probably the two most common things that I see in terms of diets failing, and just that people try to do too much. If you, tell yourself, okay, I'm going to give up coffee, give up sugar. I'm going to start working out for 3 hours a day. I'm going to start sleeping for 9 hours a night. I'm going to start doing an hour of yoga every morning. I'm going to start doing an hour of meditation every day. Well, suddenly, all of these things that would be really good things to do, because you've tried to do all of them at once and completely overwhelmed yourself, now you don't do any of them. So you'd actually be far better off to just pick one of those things. And, this is a recommendation that I give in a lot of my health coaching sessions is let's pick one healthy habit, like drinking more water or getting more sleep. Or, doing, and I always encourage people to start small, like 10 minutes a day of yoga or exercise or walking around the block, right? And then you just pick one healthy habit, do that for a week or two until it becomes a habit and you feel like you can add another thing. Don't try to do it all at once or else you're kind of setting yourself up to fail. I am in Texas. Aubrey Ham asked where I am at. Music lover. Woo, I just got all my questions bumped. God dang it. So YouTube does this funny thing where like I'm sitting here, and there's like no questions coming in, and then all of a sudden it just floodgate of comments. So now I'm scrolling back through like buttloads of comments here trying to find where I was. Gosh darn it. Oh yeah, okay. Music lover Musa. Is all coconut water good for you when it has pulp? So this is a really good question, and I actually have a coconut water in the fridge. I wish that I had it here with me right now. A couple things to note about coconut water. First off, I love coconut water. All right, and it is a super healthy beverage. It's a great way to get electrolytes. So definitely, as something to have instead of Gatorade or Powerade, coconut water is a great, great choice. Now, you do need to, not all coconut waters are healthy. There are a couple of brands out there. What you want to look for is that the ingredients say coconut water. Pretty easy, right? When you start looking at different coconut water beverages, you will see that there are some that have added sugar, added colors, added flavors, or maybe that just says like water and coconut flavoring. You've really got to just, like I said, it just takes a quick glance at the ingredients, because what you're looking for is that it's just 100% coconut water and that it doesn't contain sugar and all that other kinds of stuff. Coconut water with the pulp, all right, I would say is actually even a little bit healthier than coconut water without the pulp, because the pulp gives you a little bit of fiber that helps to lower the glycemic index or the glycemic load of the coconut water. However, I kind of feel like there's not enough pulp in the coconut water that it makes a huge difference. But if you like the coconut water with the little pieces of coconut pulp in it, boom, awesome. That's fantastic. Definitely a super healthy thing to drink. And, on that note, if you actually get a coconut, crack that baby open, pour the water out, and then you can use a spoon to scoop the coconut meat out of the coconut. It's not actually meat, but that's what they call it. The pulp itself, that's actually my favorite part of a coconut when I cut one open. It's so creamy. It's so delicious. You can do actually a lot of stuff with the coconut meat, as they call it. But yes, coconut water is awesome. With pulp, awesome. Just make sure it doesn't have added sugar and stuff like that. Sierra Miller. How can you maintain your weight or even lose weight if you're physically unable to exercise? Okay, so this is actually a really cool question and something that I don't think I've really been asked before in this specific way. So this is really cool. Sierra Miller, very cool question. So physically unable to exercise, maybe from injuries or something like, chronic pain or something like that. There's a lot of different issues that could be going on, preventing someone from being able to exercise. So here are a couple of different considerations for you to keep in mind. Your body stores fat when there's insulin in your bloodstream. Your pancreas only secretes insulin when you have an elevation of your blood sugar levels. So, especially when you spike your blood sugar level up very quickly, such as with a soda. Okay, so like liquid calories, that's like instant sugar to your bloodstream, gives you a big, what we call a blood sugar spike. So if you thought about your blood sugar, right, it's just going pew up very quickly. Anytime you have things like white bread, sodas, candies, that sugar gets converted very, very quickly. All right, and causes that blood sugar spike. So if you can avoid spiking your blood sugar up like that, you can prevent your body from secreting so much insulin. This is the whole idea behind ketogenic diets. Ketosis is when your body is burning fat for fuel. So the whole idea is that as long as you are eating mostly fats and protein, and you keep your sugar intake very low, then you'll just have these slow rises in blood sugar as your body slowly breaks down those foods and converts it into sugar. And what this means is that your body's not secreting as much insulin. So the reason that ketogenic diets are so effective is that they literally are keeping your body in what could be called fat burning mode. So depending on the hormones your body is secreting, your body's either in fat burning mode, ketosis, or fat storage mode, which is where most of us are, because most of us always have insulin in our bloodstream. We're drinking sodas, we're eating candies, we're eating chips and white bread and things like that. That's going to put you in fat gaining, fat producing mode, so to speak. So you can maintain your weight by just trying to avoid blood sugar spikes, avoiding sodas, avoiding sugars. If you're going to eat something sweet, have it in conjunction with fat and fiber, such as having some nuts with your chocolate, or having, an avocado. So let's say you're going to eat a piece of toast. Well, hopefully you're not going to eat white bread. Hopefully you're going to have a whole grain bread. But if you were to spread some avocado or piece of cheese on your toast, then that would actually lower the glycemic load or reduce the blood sugar spike. And theoretically, the more that you keep your body in ketosis by avoiding sugars, and that even includes fruits. So a ketogenic diet is actually pretty low in fruit, even though fruit is really healthy for you. The whole idea is that you're really, really keeping your sugar levels very low. So ketogenic diet would be one thing to look up. Another thing that's so important when it comes to weight loss is stress and sleep. And so, that's something that whether you can work out or not, okay, just working to reduce your stress levels, reduce the amount of time that you're spending really stressed out. So recognizing when you're getting into that kind of frustrated, stressful mode, doing some deep breathing or taking a walk outside to literally help bring you out of that really stressful state. Getting more sleep, doing things like yoga or meditation would be other really good ways to reduce your stress levels. And we know that stress and weight loss are highly connected. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that your brain function actually burns a lot of energy as well. So doing things that stimulate your brain, like critical thinking exercises, or, probably even like playing chess. Man, talk about something that really works your brain. Working your brain, now you're probably maybe not going to be able to get significant weight loss from that, but definitely a good thing to consider. If you can't physically exercise, mentally exercise. And just remember that your brain actually burns through a lot of fuel, right? So if you are just keeping your mind engaged, again, things like meditation and balancing poses and yoga that require some concentration can actually help you burn some excess energy, by working your brain muscle, so to speak. All right, so I'm going to just keep on flying through questions. There are a lot of questions here today. I will take a second to remind you guys that if you leave a tip with your question by clicking the little super chat button, it's the little $sign, just kind of looks like a funny looking S right here underneath the comment. If you leave a tip with your question, YouTube will bump it up to the top and give me a little notification. So best way to guarantee an answer and guarantee that you get your question answered next, leave a little tip. And hey guys, it's the day before Thanksgiving, so this is the time of giving and giving thanks. So if you appreciate these chats, or if you've ever learned anything from our YouTube channel or my live chat, please consider, even just giving us $1. If 10 of you gave us $1, there's 94 people in here right now, it says. If 10 people gave $1, that would be awesome. So let's see. All right. Charmander1234. Is it bad if I don't eat meat? My family members tell me I'm going to get really sick if I don't eat meat. Is that true? Man, To meat or not to meat? Man, such a big question. You know, the bottom line is that there are a whole bunch of super healthy vegans and vegetarians out there, period. You have vegans and vegetarians that run triathlons and that, bodybuild. There's definitely no rule out there that says that everyone has to eat meat to be healthy, period. There's a lot of healthy people out there that don't eat meat. Now, my personal philosophy on this question is that to eat meat or to not eat meat, that is a personal decision that each one of us has to make. No one else can tell how certain foods make us feel, right? So we individually have to be the ones that are responsible for paying attention to how certain foods affect us, or how we feel when we eat certain foods. What foods do we crave? What foods do we gravitate towards? And just know that your own ideal diet is yours and yours alone. And it may not be the same as my diet, or your mom's diet, or your best friend's diet. And just because you see somebody on YouTube eating a certain way, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the way that you need to eat. So I really truly believe that each person has to discover their own ideal diet. Some good ways to do that would be keeping a food journal. Keeping a little journal where you keep track of the things you eat, and then things like headaches, belly aches, energy levels, can help you kind of track how foods affect you. And just kind of noticing, so once you kind of have it in a little journal and you can look back, you start noticing, man, every single time I eat a steak, I feel really sluggish and sick for 2 days the next day. Or every single time I have a lot of milk, I break out the next day, right? And you can start to notice how foods affect you. If you are already having digestive issues, acne, arthritis, or some kind of health issue going on, you can try what's called an elimination diet, which, just like it sounds, you eliminate certain foods from your diet for 2 to 4 weeks and just observe. Do you feel better when you stop eating that food? Do you feel worse? So I would just encourage you to to pay attention to your body and listen to what your body's telling you. Because things like pain, headaches, and I believe even, low energy and depression, these are ways that our body is trying to communicate with us and tell us, hey, you're drinking too much caffeine, or hey, I don't like it when you eat gluten. Whatever it is, we are the only ones who can actually observe how foods affect us. So no, it's not true that everyone has to eat meat. And I also don't believe that it's true that everyone has to be vegan or vegetarian. I think depending on where you live, your heritage, what your ancestors ate, there are all of these different factors that are going to affect each person's ideal diet. So some people, I think, function better eating animal products. And I think some people function better avoiding animal products. And whether you avoid them or eat them has to be your own personal decision. And I just hate that people have this really strong inclination to want everyone else to eat like they do. All the vegans want everyone to be vegan. And people who eat meat want everyone to eat meat. So my personal philosophy is that each person should eat the way that makes them feel the best. And if that means you're a vegan, great. If that means that you're paleo, great. Paleo is a very high meat diet. Virtually no flour or grains, typically, in a paleo diet. Anyways, bottom line is that, just think about how different we all are. Another example I give is, do you think that somebody who lives in the tropics would do very well eating the foods and the diet of someone that lives in Alaska? And vice versa. Would someone in Alaska have a very good life if they were just eating things like coconuts and mangoes? Right? So the foods that we eat, our ideal diet, has a lot to do with the time of year, the place where we live, what foods are local to the place that we're living in or to the place that we're from. There's so many different factors. Anyhow, Charmander, I hope that that answered your question. You know, pay attention to your body. If you give up meat and you start to feel better, then I would say that's an indication that it's okay for you to not eat meat. And if you give up meat and you start to feel worse, well, then there's your body communicating with you. A whole part of our holistic philosophy and holistic health is to listen to your body and know that pain is a signal. Is your body trying to tell you something? So the more that we can just listen to what our bodies are trying to tell us, that can help us find our own ideal diet. Sasha Ali, I am optimal hypothyroid with thyroxine and doing low carb diet, but not losing a lot of weight. Okay, so thyroid, goodness freaking gracious. This is a really, really big topic. If you have some type of thyroid dysfunction, there's a very, very good chance that that thyroid dysfunction is underlying or causing your weight problems. For the body to burn fat, there's a lot of different little pieces that all have to come together, you know, in the right way in order for that to happen. So a big piece of that is stress. Having low stress levels, getting plenty of sleep. That's a really big puzzle piece in weight loss. And endocrine system. So your endocrine system is your hormones. And basically this is an entire system of processes in the body where your body balances and regulates how many hormones it needs to produce. So you've got your thyroid hormones, adrenal hormones, stress hormones. You've also got all of these different, for lack of a better term, digestive hormones. So hormones that are secreted when we eat food. So that'd be things like insulin, leptin. And all of these different hormones are playing a very integral part in whether your body is storing fat or whether your body is burning fat. So, you know, it's very, very common that people with thyroid conditions struggle with weight loss because your body is struggling with balancing its hormones. You know, that's what, you know, whether you're hyper or hypothyroid, there's some kind of communication issue going on that's preventing your body from balancing your hormones the way it's supposed to. Oftentimes, thyroid issues can be preceded by gut issues. So Sasha Ali, or Ale, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Sasha, you know, I would just inquire, you know, do you have pre-existing digestive issues such as IBS or GERD? Sometimes there can be an autoimmune issue or a digestive tract issue that causes thyroid issues. So actually, to get to the bottom of your thyroid issue is going to mean healing your gut. And essentially, healing your gut is just about eating really clean, really staying away from things like caffeine, alcohol, white bread, processed foods, at least during the duration of time where you're allowing your gut to heal. Taking probiotic supplements would be another really, really good idea. Because whether you have a diagnosed digestive issue or not, there's a very, very good chance that a gut issue or GI, gastrointestinal issue, is underlying a thyroid problem. functional medicine practitioners are the best equipped to actually help you find the root cause of your thyroid issue and reverse it. And I would put money on the probability that if you can resolve your thyroid issue, and when I say resolve, I mean don't treat it with a thyroid drug like thyroxine or Synthroid, but actually figure out what's causing it and resolve it, that your weight loss issues will also be resolved as a result. Seeing a doctor of functional medicine is the best way to, figure out the root cause of the thyroid issue. If you put in functional medicine thyroid in a search engine, you will find tons and tons of different information on this topic. I found a website that just totally opened my freaking mind. It's thyroidpharmacist.com. Thyroidpharmacist.com. And she just has a huge amount of information and kind of explains what I was just talking about the connection between the gut and the thyroid. But if you've got thyroid and weight loss issues, treating your digestive tract with probiotics, really healthy, clean diet, do that first before you try to lose weight. Do that first and see if that doesn't help. Alrighty. Mr. Nibble's mommy, my friend Amanda. Really good to see you, Amanda. This one's for you. She says, what are your favorite Thanksgiving foods? The foods that I know I shouldn't eat. Let's see. For many years, I didn't eat any turkey. I did, vegetarian for several years and then integrated fish. And then finally, over the last couple years, I started eating meat again. And now I, do try to, keep my meat intake low. But I am pretty happy to be, eating turkey again on Thanksgiving. Especially if you can find a free-range turkey, which we have a lot of those here in Austin because we have like Whole Foods and Central Market. It's pretty awesome. Just saw that Mandy is in here. That's awesome. Hi, Mandy. She's my filming assistant. She's sitting in the other room. Let's see. Other favorite Thanksgiving foods. Man, I love sweet potatoes. Any excuse to eat sweet potatoes. I remember eating the sweet potatoes with like marshmallows and sugar and walnuts and stuff on them as a kid. I try not to do that now. Try to just have like regular sweet potatoes. Things that are pumpkin flavored are awesome. I made some really awesome gluten-free, keto-friendly pumpkin muffins last night, and they were really good. So I'm still kind of tweaking the recipe, but I will share that recipe with you guys once I get it perfect. So Muburaka Hakimji, really apologize for my probably mispronunciation of your name. Mubaraka, can you shed some light on the keto diet? Is it good or bad? And is it good for the long run? So I've already talked a little bit about ketogenic diet, right? The question about how to lose weight if you can't exercise. Keeping your body in ketosis by significantly limiting your sugar intake can be a very effective way to lose weight. And I've actually observed people in my life lose, 40 to 50 pounds just from keeping a ketogenic diet. Now, it is pretty difficult because, you have to keep, even your fruit intake is very, very, very low, but even your vegetable intake is low because, it's like a extreme low carb diet. So while it can be very effective for weight loss, it's definitely my personal opinion that it'd be healthier to eat more vegetables. So I kind of think of it in phases, and I think it's good for whatever diet you're thinking about to kind of think of it in phases. So the intense phase, you're really trying to lose weight. Your fruit and vegetable intake is very, very low. And typically people can lose a considerable amount of weight if they really follow the diet closely. You know, and then like phase 2, maybe where you're just trying to maintain your weight, you add a lot of vegetables back in. The main thing is avoiding white flour, avoiding processed foods. I mean, those are the big bad guys that really spike your blood sugar. You know, and even a potato is relatively low glycemic compared to something like potato chips, or really any processed food for that matter. I know a lot of people that, you know, have had, success with ketogenic diet and then staying on it for a prolonged period of time. I personally feel like it's not the most sustainable diet just because it's hard for me to avoid fruits and vegetables with that much severity. But I would just echo what I said a minute ago to the question about eating meat. You know, each person's ideal diet is each person's. And it's going to be unique from person to person. So there's going to be some people who thrive on a ketogenic diet and they love it and it's easy to follow and they follow it their whole lives with no problem. There's going to be other people that, you know, maybe they do better on a vegan diet or a paleo diet, which is kind of similar to a ketogenic diet. But the bottom line is that I think each person has to discover what works best for them. I can't sit here and tell you, oh, every person should eat this way, because we're all different. Maisie XX, are there any particular foods that can help with joint pain and soreness? Yes, definitely. So one of the biggest causes of joint pain is inflammation. So whether you actually have a diagnosis of arthritis or you're just having joint pain and soreness, inflammation is at the root of that. So foods that cause inflammation would be sugar, processed foods, white flour. Man, I sound like a broken freaking record, don't I? And your foods that help to reduce inflammation would be any kind of green vegetable. Okay, so, like the juicing question from earlier. Drinking green juices would be a fantastic thing to do to reduce joint pain. Turmeric it comes from a root. Typically, it's going to be a powdered spice, or you can take it in a pill. But turmeric is one of the highest anti-inflammatory foods out there, or has the highest anti-inflammatory properties. So you can, again, take it as a spice and add it to things like soups or tea or whatever. Or if you've really got significant joint pain, you might just go ahead and find a turmeric capsule that you can take. If you look up anti-inflammatory diets or anti-inflammatory foods, any of those foods that are known to fight inflammation would be a fantastic thing to help you reduce joint pain and soreness. Again, it's basically your green vegetables, your natural foods. Things like garlic and ginger are very anti-inflammatory as well. Ahmed Mohammed, is there alternatives for sodium salt? I always recommend that as an alternative to regular salt, you use sea salt. So I really like the Himalayan pink sea salt, but there's also just plain white sea salt as well. Essentially what you're getting with sea salt is a lot more mineral density, I guess you could say. So with typical table salt, sodium chloride. Whereas when you have a sea salt, it's going to contain, and there's actually some low sodium sea salts out there that you can find. But it'll have, you know, some sodium, some magnesium, and then all of these other minerals that help to, you know, actually satisfy your body's mineral needs. And a lot of times when people are craving salty foods, it's actually because you're deficient in minerals. So rather than going out and just having more sodium, which is what most of us do, right? Because all of the regular processed foods and junk foods are salted with that plain salt that's mostly sodium. Instead, if you were to have sea salt or sea vegetables, very, very mineral dense, and again, like all of your nuts and seeds and natural foods, great sources of minerals. Cacao, okay, raw chocolate, great source of minerals. Coconut water, another good example. Then you'll actually be satisfying the mineral deficiency that's causing your salt craving. Mr. Affisgut, what about the recent controversy on coconut oil? So yeah, I remember somebody mentioned that in a previous live chat, and I kind of looked into it. And honestly, guys, I think that time and time again, we have situations where one of the big food industries is seeing their part of the industry threatened. And so they go out of their way to try and do whatever it is they need to do to fix their bottom line. So as an example, do y'all remember, you know, I guess it was about a decade ago, there was all of these studies that came out that showed that fat is bad for you and cholesterol is bad for you. And they were like, oh, don't eat the egg yolk because of the fat and the cholesterol. And you should drink fat-free milk and fat-free peanut butter. Right? Well, guess who funded a lot of those studies that ended up finding out that fats were bad for you? Who funded them? The sugar industry. So literally, all of that information about how fats were bad for us primarily came about because the sugar industry was like, oh, hey, you know another way we could make money? We scare the crap out of people so they stop eating fat, and then everybody has to add more sugar to the foods to make it palatable again. And it worked. And now you see a huge prevalence of fat-free foods. Most of those foods have a bunch of sugar added to them because they taste like crud when you take all the fat out. And so after looking at the coconut oil information, I'm just thinking like, this looks like something that was probably the brainchild of the mainstream food industry. You know, and so you can talk about General Mills and Kraft and all of these companies that, you know, produce Crisco and all of these other fats and oils that people were typically using. Well, now they're seeing that people are buying coconut oil. People are stopping buying Crisco and Pam and all that crap, for lack of a better term, and they're buying coconut oil instead. So they're like, oh man, we've got to do some studies to demonize coconut oil. And that is how it looked to me. I didn't find any information that actually discouraged me from eating coconut oil. It just really, really looked like, because that's the thing about studies. You know, it's like when somebody funds a study, they're only going to release the results if they like the information. You know, so if the sugar industry was funding a study to demonize fats and they actually find out that fats are good for you, well, they're not going to publish the results of that study. So they like selectively design the study so they can hopefully kind of control their results, but then they only publish the results if the results help them. You know, so it's very, very easy for, you know, corporations or however you want to look at it to manipulate the studies and the scientific findings. And largely that was the feeling I got about the coconut oil, is somebody is trying to, you know, they're seeing that their sales are hurting. They're losing sales to coconut oil. So what can we do to demonize coconut oil and try to find something bad about it? But I didn't actually find any of that information to be convincing that coconut oil is bad for you. You know, it's worth noting that, you know, too much of even a good thing can be bad. You know, so if, you know, somebody's having a huge amount of coconut oil all the time, probably could be problematic. But coconut oil is still healthier for you than Crisco, than partially hydrogenated oils. Mile 69 Gazette, what do you think of multivitamins? I think a multivitamin is a great safety net. You know, like we all know that we're supposed to have a certain amount of vegetables per day. Most people don't hit that mark. I've heard it recommended that we should have 7 to 10 cups of vegetables every day in order to get the nutrients we need. So that means that at each meal, you need 2 to 3 servings of vegetables. And I don't think most people are doing that. So a multivitamin is a good safety net to kind of just fill in the blanks on some of your very, very important vitamins and minerals. I've shown a couple different multivitamins on the channel. I have none of them here in the room with me. But the main thing is that it's food-based, because they can make synthetic versions of all of the different vitamins, but they're not going to be as healthy for you as that vitamin taken from a food. And just on that note, the healthiest way to get nutrients is eating the food itself. Second best would be a multivitamin that is made from foods. And so oftentimes when you look on the back, it'll actually list, you know, barley and broccoli and this and that, and have all these foods on it. In the video I'll be publishing, I should be publishing it today, hopefully. If not today, then next week. I actually show a little multivitamin in that video. My Healthy Fall Supplements video showed a multivitamin as well. I'm trying to find a link to one of them, but I'm not finding it, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on. But if you put in, you know, vitamins on our channel, you can see the videos I've done on that topic and see the different brands I recommend. Sasha says, why in a keto diet do I have pain in my fingers and hand joints? I'm actually not sure. But there are a lot of people out there making videos on that topic. Dr. Eric Berg, B-E-R-G, is a YouTuber that I follow a lot. He's got tons of videos on keto diets. So I bet if you just took your question and pasted that into the search term on YouTube or Google, or go to Eric Berg's channel, I imagine that's something that people have addressed before. Aubrey Ham, the best way to lose a headache? Drink a big glass of water. Also know that in addition to, you know, having water to keep you hydrated, you also need electrolytes. So maybe squeezing some lemon in your water, or having a coconut water will give you electrolytes. Probably the first thing I reach for when I have a headache or feel one coming on is a coconut water, because of all of the electrolytes. It's like super hydrating. I have a video coming up soon where I showed this headache supplement called My Brain. And it contains B vitamins. It contains a variety of different herbs that help with headaches as well. I've had a lot of success with that stuff. There's also a little pressure point in the hand right here. And if you have a headache and you just start kind of squeezing right here, it'll feel real tender. I actually don't even have a headache right now, but this spot feels kind of tender. But just massaging that little spot in the hands, or if you have a friend that will hold those little spots in both hands for you, that can help to relieve a headache. We've got tons and tons of videos on the topic of headaches, so search for it on our channel. We also have some more videos coming up soon. I know that we've just posted a recent series on wellnessplus.tv that's all about headaches and headache reduction. So we're offering a free 7-day trial of Wellness Plus. So if you go to wellnessplus.tv and sign up, you can try it free for 7 days. Go check out that headache series and see if you can find something that will help you out. YouTuber for sure. How can I get my hip to sit on the ground when it comes to the splits? You know, the thing about flexibility is that it just takes patience. It just takes patience. So coming back, stretching every day is really, really important. And you just have to be patient with your body. What keeps us inflexible is the muscles being tense around the bone. Well, it's kind of a very broad overgeneralization, but what increases our flexibility is helping those muscles to relax. So you've got to be able to stretch, you know, so move into a certain stretch, but then sit in that stretch for at least 30 seconds. In order for that stretch to be beneficial and actually be helping you get more flexible, you have to be able to breathe calmly and deeply while you hold the stretch. So if you move into a stretch and you're holding your breath, not giving you benefit. So pull back just a little bit to where you can sit relatively comfortably. So there should be a slight discomfort, right? Kind of like feeling that burn. I know I'm getting a good stretch because it makes me want to sing like an opera singer. I'm like, ah! And I know, like, oh, I'm getting a good stretch right now. But being able to breathe and hold a stretch for a good amount of time is what's really going to help your flexibility. And just be patient with yourself. And then all of a sudden, one day, you're going to be like, oh my God, I got him. Another thing that's important to note is that strength and flexibility go hand in hand. So if you're just doing stretch videos all the time, do something to strengthen your legs and glutes. And we actually have several like splits series that people have made. Or if you do yoga for splits, that's fantastic because then they've created something that helps build strength and flexibility all in the same routine. Heather Rickard is just asking, so do different random people get on the channel and people share on the channel? So basically, I am the producer for this channel. I schedule all the presenters. I do all of the filming for the yoga videos and fitness videos. As most of you know, I'm also a presenter on the channel. So sometimes I'm in front of the camera, sometimes I'm behind the camera, but I wouldn't say that it's just different random people on the channel. I actually go through, I find the presenters, I schedule them, and then I'm actually the one who publishes the videos each day. So it's not random. I actually put a lot of time and work into finding presenters, scheduling them, filming them, helping them come up with their video topics or take the information that they want to convey and then turning that into a video. But yeah, you know, we've got a variety of presenters. This channel has always functioned that way, with a variety of different presenters, a variety of different topics. The whole idea being, how can we give people everything that they need to know to help them get healthy, help them lose weight, help them reduce stress. All of those things under the big umbrella of wellness, as I like to call it. Tin P. Any advice for weight loss for people who work 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.? I mean, I'm giving you the same weight loss advice I'd give anyone else. You know, even though you have, you know, kind of a different schedule and you work at night, you still need to get plenty of sleep. You know, you still need to get plenty of sleep as best as you can. You know, try to just eat clean. Avoid processed foods, avoid fried foods, try to eat as many vegetables as you can, you know, and working out for 30 minutes to an hour a day is the best way to lose weight. So, I think it would be all the same kind of recommendations I normally give, just on a different schedule. The Whispering Gum Tree ASMR. I'm on my feet all day at work and my legs and feet are really sore and tired. Any tips for relieving them? So the first thing I would say is what they call legs up the wall. It's also known as waterfall pose in yoga, and it's just like it sounds. So you want to bring a mat or something soft up to the wall to lay on, and then you just lay flat against the wall with your legs up the wall. And I would encourage you to kind of experiment with, you know, keeping them at a different angle. You know, sometimes it feels really good for me to just be like, you know, perpendicular up against the wall. But sometimes it feels nice to kind of scoot your butt out from the wall and then just kind of let your legs sit there. You could also alternatively use like a couch or something, and put your legs up on the couch. It probably won't keep your feet straight up in the air, but just elevating your feet above your heart. Elevating your feet above your heart can be a really kind of effective way, probably to just encourage the circulation out of the feet. So that would be a really good thing to do just periodically throughout the day, maybe before work, after work. If you can do it while you're at work for 5 or 10 minutes here or there, that could be, you know, helpful as well. Can't say enough about a good pair of shoes. You know, I know how hard it is to spend a lot of money on a good pair of shoes, but if you are on your feet all day long, I think it pays off. You know? So I am a huge fan of these Kenko Reflexology sandals. They actually have these little, like, whatever you call them, little reflexology dealy boppers on them, for I don't know what to call those. Nodules, maybe, is what they call them. But they are so freaking comfortable. They're really comfortable. I really love them. And I wear them, like, all the time. And I'm on my feet a lot. And there are days where, like, my feet and my heels and my legs, they just hurt. And then I put on these shoes, and it's almost an immediate sense of relief. It's kind of crazy. But anyways, you know, we're kind of living in the day and age of, you know, pay less, and, you know, even Target has amazing shoes. But unfortunately, you know, if you buy a cheap pair of shoes and you're really not getting, you know, good support while you're on your feet, that can be one of the biggest things causing you pain. Some other ideas. There's a lot you can do with soaking your feet in Epsom salts. Not only will it feel really amazing and relaxing, but when you use Epsom salts in a foot soak or a bath as well, right, your body will actually absorb a lot of the magnesium and other minerals in those salts. And so magnesium helps your muscles relax. So if you've got foot pain and tight feet from being on your feet all day, soaking your feet in some Epsom salts is going to be a really, really good idea, both because the experience itself feels nice and relaxing, but you're also getting those actual nutritional benefits from the Epsom salts coming into your skin. Self-massage on the feet, reflexology on the feet. We have a reflexology series that Melissa made showing you DIY reflexology, different basically self-massage that you can do for your feet based on reflexology. That's very, very effective for reducing pain, even your back pain, and, you know, all the way up to your neck. You know, it's all connected. So there's a lot you can do to reduce back pain, neck pain, even headaches through reflexology on your feet. And the cool thing about reflexology is you can do it on yourself. So if you put in DIY reflexology on this channel, you can find the videos Melissa made. If you go to wellnessplus.tv, you can find her new reflexology series that, you know, went up a couple months ago. Okie dokie. Looking for question marks. I am going to go ahead and do a last call for tips. You know, it is not feeling like the season of thanks and giving right now, just to be honest with you guys. I thought, hey, the day before Thanksgiving, people will be feeling super grateful and generous, and maybe we'll get some tips. And my tip counter for this chat is... So, yeah. You don't make much money making health videos on YouTube. Period. And then in the last year or two, YouTube has slashed our income in more than half. Like, we're making less than half of what we were making a couple years ago, despite the fact that we now have 2 million subscribers. Anyways, so, you know, help us keep the cameras rolling by considering signing up at wellnessplus.tv. Get your free 7-day trial. Leave me a little tip in the chat. It'll bump your question up to the top. We also have a Patreon page if you want to support us on Patreon. Nuvo Angel, do you recommend an air fryer? I don't know enough about air fryers. I haven't really looked at it. Yes, it'll be better to probably air fry than to deep fry in oil. But my suspicion is that even an air fryer is still exposing your food to a lot of heat and is really not that healthy. So, air fryer, probably healthier than regular deep frying, but I wouldn't say that it's healthy. Seth Alsaker, what's the best way to start weight loss? Cut sodas out first, then sweets. How do I do it? Really, really sorry. I don't mean to give you a snide answer, but you know, just try to eliminate those foods from your diet. I think it's always easiest to start small. Maybe start with replacing things, right? So you're gonna cut sodas. So maybe you start by just saying, okay, once a week, instead of a soda, I'm gonna have a coconut water or have a regular water. So you're just starting like one soda a week. So let's say you drink 2 to 3 sodas a day. That means that you're drinking like 14 to 21 sodas a week. So you're just gonna start with one soda a week. You know, so maybe one day a week, or you know, or another way to do it would be like one day a week you don't have sodas. You know, or one day a week you only have 1 soda instead of 3. And then once that starts feeling like it's not too hard, you say, okay, well, let's maybe go 2 days a week where I only have 1 soda. Or 1 day a week where I have no soda. You just gotta, you know, think of an approach that will work for you. You know, setting concrete goals, I think, is very, very effective. So, you know, maybe keep track of how many sodas you have each week so that you can actually keep track of like, oh, you know, I only had 15 sodas this week instead of 17. Next week, I'm going to try to only have 14 sodas. Following week, let's go down to 12. And then you just slowly, slowly, slowly bring it down. Because if you try to just cold turkey it, I mean, some people function well with that cold turkey approach. I typically feel like, you know, it's a kind of a time bomb. You know, like when people cold turkey things, there's a really good likelihood that they're going to relapse. But slowly weaning things off and replacing things with healthier options, I think, is a good place to start. In terms of the best way to start weight loss, do something. Do anything. Literally, anything you do is going to be the best way to start. Replacing, you know, sweet foods with fruit. You know, so instead of a dessert, you eat a piece of fruit. Or, you know, adding things to your diet. Like once a week, I'm going to eat a salad. And if you never eat salad, then 1 salad a week is a good place to start. And then you just slowly move up from there. How many days does it take to get in shape? I mean, can you just, for a second, imagine how vague that question is? I have no idea how much this person weighs. How healthy are they? Do they ever work out? How do they eat? I mean, there's about 1,000,001 factors that are going to determine how long it takes someone to get in shape. You know, if you're talking about somebody who's 350 pounds, it's going to take them longer than somebody who's like 150 pounds and they just want to lose 10 pounds, right? So that's an impossible question to answer. Mile 69 Gazette, I went sugar-free 3 weeks ago. Are there any natural sweeteners? Okay, so sweeteners, such a big freaking topic. Worst of the worst are your artificial sweeteners. Aspartame, sucralose, aspartame, sucralose, acesulfame, potassium. You know, any of your sugar-free like mainstream foods like sugar-free Oreos and sugar-free gum, virtually will always contain those artificial sweeteners that are the absolute worst of the very, very, very worst. In terms of sugar-free natural sweeteners, the best option would be stevia, which comes from a plant. All right, so a natural plant-based sweetener, but it's sugar-free. So stevia, fantastic example. There are sugar alcohols like xylitol. I don't think xylitol is horrible for you, but I don't necessarily think it's something we want to consume a lot of. So there's some gums. Like, this is the gum that I that I like. So, like, look, aspartame free. Yay. You know, so it's got xylitol in it. You know, so I will chew like a xylitol gum and stuff, but I wouldn't buy like the big like thing of xylitol to use, just because it's not something we really know a whole lot about yet. So things that are natural sweeteners like stevia would be the best option. You know, and then just know that if you're having natural sources of sugar, like that come from a piece of fruit or, you know, a coconut water, that sugar is much easier for your body to digest. You know, so we all have a sweet tooth from time to time, you know. So an occasional, you know, healthy source of sweetness like honey, maple syrup, fruit, dates, definitely far better options than the artificial sweeteners or things like high fructose corn syrup and regular sugar. Ray Green, what causes stress eating? I do it a lot and I want to know how to help it. I'm pretty sure that it's stress that causes stress eating. So, all right, so let's just talk about stress for a second. Really, really important topic. You know, so what we perceive as mental stress, such as I have a deadline, my bills are due, my rent is due. That mental stress, no matter where it's coming from, your body perceives as a threat. So what used to be like you see a bear or there's a shortage of food or whatever, right? And that would create mental stress. And the body secretes stress hormones like cortisol to give you a burst of energy so you can fight or flight. So you can like get away from the bear or whatever, right? So that stress response, even though it's triggered by a mental or emotional feeling, creates a physical response. Stress hormones are flooded through the body. And when this happens, all right, that kind of fight or flight response, you know, it stimulates adrenaline. So this is where it's kind of like a, you know, like a snowball effect, right? So your brain starts to interpret some source of stress. Let's say it's traffic. You got somewhere you need to go. You're sitting in a big, long line of cars. You got people whipping in front of you. You got people changing lanes without their blinker. Man, that is frustrating. Okay, so what starts as your brain kind of mentally interpreting the stressful situation causes this fight or flight response, this release of adrenaline, and now suddenly you have this energy coursing through your veins. You feel frustrated, you feel irritable, you feel angry, you want to punch something, you want to scream at the top of your lungs. Which I do sometimes, I'll be honest. And so that adrenaline that comes is what makes us really angry. And then especially if you can't use that energy somehow by running around the block or punching a pillow. You know, you're sitting there in your car and your body is coursing with adrenaline. You're like, rah! You get upset. And there is probably like what underlies the stress eating. So, you know, in terms of how to help it, it's like you gotta notice those first feelings of stress and nip them in the bud before they actually cause your body to release a whole bunch of hormones. So noticing the things that trigger you to start feeling stressed, and when those things start happening, take a deep breath or do deep breathing exercises, walk outside, get some fresh air. It's just so important to try and prevent yourself from that initial stress. And you gotta nip it in the bud early. Because once the body floods with all those stress hormones, there's not a whole lot you can do other than just waiting it out. Or running it out, for that matter. Anyhow, guys, I am getting the signal to go ahead and wrap up my chat here. And I just want to wish all of you a very, very happy Thanksgiving. I am super grateful for each and every one of you, for all of your great questions, all of your support of our channel. I know that in your heart of hearts, all of you guys wanted to leave a tip for me today. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I hope that you will all come back again next week for another chance to, you know, hear some more questions and hear some more answers. It was time for live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Bum, bum. Every Wednesday on your YouTube machine. Bum, bum, bum. It was time for live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. And you guys, thanks so much for being here. I hope you will come back to the channel in just a little bit and you can check out the video that we'll be publishing today. Again, happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. I hope you have a wonderful holiday and I will see you all again next week. Thank you so much. Eat a bunch of turkey for me. And I will see y'all in December, right? The next chat will be in December? Not quite. We got one more chat in the month of November. So thank you so much, and I will see you all then. Have a wonderful holiday and a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming, and thanks for all of the amazing questions.